Assalamu alaikum. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Rabbi zidni ilma. Okay, now children, how are you? I hope that you remember whatever we have covered till now. And if you can recall a few concepts that we have covered. By the way, the first concept that I want you to discuss and revise is the concept of logics. Can you recall how many logics we have talked about? Okay. Yes. How many logics we have talked about? The sequence logic. Okay, correct. Selection logic. And repetitive logic, correct. Now, these logics you have covered and you know them very well. And if you have seen that we have used them in different places, whichever programming that we have done, we have talked about these logics that we have sequence logic, we have selection logic, and we have iteration or repetitive logic. Now, moving on to after that, we have done one more, I can say concept. If you can recall that concept, we have done a few exercises in class, and then it was given to you as an exercise also. So if you can recall. Okay. Counting, correct? Okay, now if you talk about counting, what else have we covered after that? Anything else? Now, after counting, that was the basic concept that we talked about. If we can very quickly recall what was counting actually, and what did we do in counting? Which concepts I ask you to always refer whenever we talk about counting? Okay. The very first thing that we did was initializing. Perfect. Can you recall quickly what do we mean by initializing? And initializing is very important. With initializing, we mean giving initial value to a variable. Now, if you recall, what we did is, हमने counting करते वक्त variable को initialize किया with a 0. Fine. By the way, did we use any sort of iteration? Yes. Can we handle the concept of counting without iteration? I need a loop, because when I talk about counting, I have a set data. So it means that I need to have a set of data, and for that, what will I be doing is I'll be using any loop structure. Like if you remember, we have talked about loop structures, which are for to next, while do and while, and repeat until. So what is preferred? By the way, if I know the number of times the work is supposed to be done, so it is always suggested to go with for do, because it is simplest, it is the most efficient loop structure. So we have used the for loop. Most of the time we use the for loop. And inside this, after taking the inputs, what we did was, we have talked about, by the way, was there any selection that we have used there? Yes, can you recall? Any selection concept that we have applied there? Okay. Yes. We normally prefer using if, because that is a simpler one to handle. And that is why we have talked about the if structure there. And once we are done with the condition checking, then we talked about the situation +1, +1, if you remember. And once the loop was over, then we displayed the whole thing. By the way, this was just a very quick recap so that you can actually go for the next concept that is called totaling. And what is actually totaling? By the way, if I talk about total, what comes to your mind? Okay. Fine. Something, by the way, can you recall, this is a concept that you apply, that you learn in math. You have learned how to find out the average. And the same concept will be used here, but let's see how to handle it in computer science. And this concept is very interesting. Like once you have understood the whole concept, once you have applied it, once you have made the program, then you will actually see for yourself that how easy it is to work on the concept of totaling. Okay. Now, this is the first question that we are doing. And as you can see, the question is something that is new to you. Take input of hourly temperatures, and it's for a day. Calculate and output the average temperature. Now, if you pay attention, what is happening here? First thing is I am asked to take input of 24 temperatures. And once the input is given, then I have to calculate and output the average. By the way, in this, if you just pay attention, all the inputs are supposed to be, which process do you think is supposed to be applied? Like once the input is taken, then think about it. Once the input is taken, maybe if the first input that was taken was at 12, was at 1 a.m. So assume that it was maybe 12. So after that, the loop was, can say, once again, the loop was repeated. And the second input was maybe assume that it was taken at 2 a.m. and it was 11. It means that in this manner, every hour the input is taken and the values are supposed to be definitely added. By the way, which process is supposed to be used here? The process of addition. And once the whole addition process is over, then we are going to perform some sort of division. Like if you can recall, this is what we have already talked about. The division will be done. And then the output will be given on the screen. So it means that it has to undergo a few stages. And the very first thing that I need to know is, in this, I'm going to use the initializing once again. Now, as you can see, the sample is in front of you. The very first line, as you can see, is total temp. And this is a variable that we have taken. And this we have initialized it with a 0. Again, you can see the assignment operator. Please remember this arrow is its direction is towards the variable. Is towards the left hand side, and it's initialized with a 0. Be very clear about this. Initializing of the variable with a 0. After that, we are starting the loop for counter equals to 1 to 24, because as I said in the beginning, the hourly temperatures are supposed to be taken, and definitely the number of times the work will be done will be 24. That is why the loop starting from 1 and going on till 24. After that, a very simple instruction, output. With the help of output, what we are doing is we are talking about telling the person, okay, you have to enter the hourly temperature. And then you can see the word input, the keyword input is being used here, the key term input is being used here. And we are using one more variable by the name hourly temp. By the way, just to make it simple, I've not used the declarations at the moment because the main thing is making you understand the basic concept. So once you have learned, you can apply the declaration yourself, and that will not be a big problem for you. But the main concept is to make you understand the idea behind how to handle the totaling concept. And here you can see after the input is taken, the next line is very important. Its placement is very important. And that is total temp equals to total temp plus hourly temp. By the way, this line is very important. Here you can see the same variable is repeated. And then you have the second variable, which is used in the line above. And that was hourly temp. Be very, very particular about this, that the variables should match. If you have used total temp in the beginning, it should be total temp throughout. If you are using total in the beginning, it has to be total throughout. Assume in such a manner, like for example, if I have a student by the name Ali in the class, and if I keep on naming him different, like for example, if I say Ahmed, so definitely he won't respond. He won't be doing the work. Exactly the same situation is with the variables. Variables should match. They should be like, if you have used total in the beginning, it should be total throughout. Be very clear about it. Otherwise, your pseudocode and definitely your program will not give you the desired result. So what we have done, we have initialized total temp and with a 0. And assuming the same example as I was quoting, the first input was taken as 12. And it means that the first value in hourly temp was 12. Total temp right now is 0. Adding 12 makes it 12 total. And it means that now total temp will be holding the value 12. Now, next counter will take it back to 4. And then you can see now the second input will be taken, which is going to be at 2 a.m. And when the second input is being taken by the from the user, then it was 11 degrees centigrade. It means that now total temp is holding no more zero. It has now the new value that is 12. I hope that you all can comprehend this. And 12 plus 11 makes it 12, 22, 23. It means that the new value of 23 will be stored in the variable total temp. I hope it's very clear. Let me repeat. Inputs are taken one by one. The first input taken in early temp is added to total temp, and then it is written back to the variable total temp. So in this manner, the work will be done 24 times, and the values that are input by the user are added up and stored repeatedly. For the 24 inputs that are being taken, all the inputs are being taken, calculated, and then stored back into the same variable total temp. Be very clear. And this is the line that can be asked, like they can ask in different styles. So be careful that when we talk about totaling, same variable written twice plus the second variable. And if you can recall, by the way, can we who can recall the counting concept? What did we do in counting? If you can recall, we talked about pass equals to pass plus one. Again, you can see the same variable is written twice, and then we are using plus one there. So this is the concept behind it, that what we do is we are going to have it in this manner. Okay. So plus one, same variable written twice, plus one is going to be called counting. Same variable written twice, plus the second variable is called the concept of totaling. So sometimes the examiners can even give you the questions where these lines are written, and they may ask you that which concept is being used there, or they may give you a sample algorithm as a sample pseudocode, and they may ask you, maybe even in the flowchart they can give it, and they may ask you that which flowchart symbol or which line is handling the totaling concept. So for this reason, be clear that whatever I have told you, then that will help you a lot. By the way, are you clear? May I move ahead? Okay, that's wonderful. I hope that we are clear with this one. That's why once the loop is over for 24 iterations, then we'll move on to the next line. That is another variable being used, which is average temp. And this is going to hold the result of total temp divided by 24. Since there are 24 iterations, that's why the total temp value will be divided by 24, and then the output of the average temp will take place. I think it's very simple. And just one thing that you need to know is, in this, we normally, like in this simple question, there is no need to handle any with the use of any if, because it is going to take all the values which are input by the user. Like, for example, if I talk about my different situations, my GPO, etc., all the inputs that are needed are going to be added there. I'm not going to ignore or remove any data from my calculations. Every single value, no matter what it is, will be a part of my calculations. I hope that we are clear with this one. Yes. Now let's move to another question. The question is, take input of daily sales for a year. And as you know, that normally the year has say 365 days normally, but in the leap year there are 366 days. That's why it is written here, assuming the year has 365 days. Calculate and output the average sales per day. Now the whole year, some days the sale is very good, some days the sale is normal, some days the sale is very low. So maybe a business concern wants to find out what is the average sales per day. Think about it. I'm giving you time. You all are supposed to make the basic concepts. Think about what should we do? How should we go about? Very quickly. Just jot down the major points. How to write it, we'll talk about it later. The way I talked about, by the way, I'm giving you hints. Think about variable that you need to initialize. Think about that. Am I supposed to use a loop here? If yes, then which loop structure is going to be most suitable in this scenario? Do I need any inputs? Fine. Then do I need any sort of selection logic, if or case or whatever? And lastly, what will be the calculations done, and then what will be the output. So just think about it very quickly, just jot down the key features, and then we'll do it together. I'm simply asking you to jot down the points better. It should not take a lot of time. I think hardly a minute is going to be enough just to jot down the points. You may be wrong, like definitely since this is the first time that you are actually learning a new concept, but to be very quick, not more than a minute or two, just to figure out the main points that you need to handle this concept. Okay, now done. Now, as you can see, I have taken a variable. Okay, now just one thing, variables may be different. No worries at all. If you have taken another variable, no worries. But you can see the main concept is supposed to remain same. If you have taken TS, or if you have taken total, or whichever variable you have taken, but just remember to use the same variable throughout your whole pseudocode. Now, what I have done is I've taken a variable by the name total sales. And again, you can see TSR capital with a no space in between, the convention that we have talked about in the beginning, then equals to 0. Initializing is being done in this line. A loop with for, again the same. There is no need to use while or repeat until. We've used for loop here, and the loop will going to be working for 365 times, because it was mentioned in the beginning the year has 365 days. And you can see for count equals to 1 to 365. Then you have the message for the user, enter daily sales, then input is taken, and the same, again, remember the sequence. First, a message for the user that what he has to input, and then input is taken. And once these two lines are done, then you can see the next line is the same. Total sales equals to total sales plus daily sales. You can see not even a mistake of an SB, very clear. I didn't write down daily sale. I wrote the same variable as I wrote in the beginning. And as you can see, total sales equals to total sales plus daily sales. The same variables are used throughout. And once this line is over, then we are using the next counter, which will take it back to the for loop, and then the next input will be taken. In this manner, all the 365 inputs will be taken from the user, and I hope that it's very clear. The loop will iterate 365 times, and once all these things are over, then it will move on to the next line after next. It will calculate the average sale. And average sales, again, the same variable is a variable is taken in this manner. Average sales equals to total sales divided by the way, just pay attention to the division symbol. Here we are using, if you can recall, we have talked about the division is done by using the slash. So here total sales upon 365, and the output is average sales is, and then average sales with a comma in between. Again, if you can recall, that output is done basically in 3 ways we do output. First one is using the message only. Second one is using the message and the variable, and the third one is going to be a variable only. So normally we use the first one and the second one. That's why I have told in that sequence. The comma is going to separate the message and the variable, and you can see output average sales is. So whatever the average sales is, that is already stored in the variable, and that will be output on the screen. Yes, is it the same? The concept is the same. Maybe the variables are different, but variables can vary, but the concepts are going to remain same. Yes. Can we all be happy with our working? Did we get the same result as is shown on the screen? Just give a star to yourself. Just give a star to yourself if you have done it in the same manner. Remember, the variables may be different. That's wonderful. So it means that we have actually talked about the concept of totaling. We have done 2 questions, and I hope that that is not a problem. for any one of us? Yes? Any questions? Now, since you all have understood how to attempt this concept of totaling, there's an assignment. Let me explain this to you first. Write an algorithm. If you recall, we have talked about algorithm. Algorithm means problem solving. And I talked about this, that problem solving or algorithm is, you can say problem solving is done in two ways for you people, pseudocode and flowchart. And right now we are concentrating on pseudocode. That's why it is going to be a written algorithm using pseudocode, which inputs 100 numbers, finds the average of the input numbers, outputs the average. So this is the sequence, as you can see: algorithm for inputting 100 numbers, finding out the average of the input numbers, and outputting the average. Your time starts now. Now, this is your call. You do it, and then we will discuss it together that whether our answer is matching or not. Come on, start. And right now I'm giving you 5 minutes. I think 5 minutes are going to be enough. But if you have a query, then you can just write it in the chat window. I'll be able to answer your query there. Again, remember the same sequence. You are going to work on the declaration of the variables, or on the initializing of the variables. Which variables do you need here? Then finding out how the loop is. Do you need a loop here? Which loop structure is going to be used? How many times the loop will work? And then how to find out the average, and then outputting the average. Any questions? I'm still here. You can raise, you can ask. But just be cautious, variables should match. Whichever variables you are using, the concept of totaling, just keep on reminding yourself. Maybe you can write down these instructions in the beginning of your journal, so that you can remember the concept of counting. How did I talk about? The concept of totaling. How did I talk about? The main concepts should be embedded there, should be embedded in your memory. That's wonderful, Ali, that you have actually written the beginning very accurately, very quickly. Better continue to work and then finish this whole pseudocode. Till now, you're correct. I'm very happy. Now, one student has shared the answer with me. I'm waiting for the response from the others. Please be very quick. Okay, now that's wonderful. More answers are pouring in. And Alhamdulillah, the answers are correct. That's really very, you can say that makes my heart, that it actually makes me very happy whenever I'm getting the right responses from you people. So keep on working in the same manner. That's really wonderful. Stars, give stars to yourself, give happy face to yourselves. Because I'm happy, so you should be happy too. Okay, now done. May I share the answer? Yes. Are we all ready to give us the marks? I gave you maximum 5 minutes. Mashallah, mashallah, nearly everyone is able to accomplish the task within the designated time. That's really I'm making, I'm very, very happy for you people. Again, the same. We have taken a variable by the name total here, initialized with a 0. The loop is going to work 100 times because it was written input of 100 numbers. And again, a message for the user, and then the input is taken by using the keyword, the key term input. And here you can see the variable is number. And after that, the next line is total equals to total plus number. Just keep on telling yourself total equals to total plus 1 is counting, total equals to total plus number is your totaling. Keep on repeating to your own self. That's so that you will remember, no matter what the variable is being used twice, plus 1 means it's counting, and plus the second variable means it is the concept of totaling. And then once the loop is over, then you can see average is being calculated, total upon 100 with again the slash. And once the average is being calculated, then we are outputting using the output statement. Output is the with a message and the variable. I hope that it's very much clear to all of us. Okay, now just I'm using one concept here. Do not think that average, the variable, is always used in the end. It is perfectly possible to use this average in the beginning. You can actually frame the statement yourself, but that is not a compulsory thing that every time the variable is going to appear in the end. It is not at all possible. I'm just mentioning it for those children who have raised a question in the chat. So I need to address their concern. So just remember, variable can be written anywhere. It can be in the beginning. It can be somewhere also. But one thing is, it should just remember one key thing. Messages and the variables are separated by a comma. And you can use as many times as you want. It is not a compulsory thing that it will be message appearing once only and the variable appearing once only. It may vary based on situations. This is the answer given to those children who have just raised this concern. So I'm just addressing their concern. We'll inshallah practice more. We will see from the past papers, so you'll be able to comprehend this well there. Okay. Maybe move ahead. Now, since we have done 2 questions right now with you, and then the third question was given as an assignment. Now, this is the 4th question. But what I am doing is, right now I'm leaving it to you people, and you will be doing it. It's very simple. Using pseudocode or otherwise, you write an algorithm that will input the hourly temperatures for one day in centigrade and print out in Fahrenheit the average temperature. Now, this is, I'm repeating, I have to write down pseudocode. This will input the hourly temperatures, the same as we have talked about. But the only change is that in this, what will you do is you will take input of the temperatures in centigrade, and then you will print out the Fahrenheit value, equivalent Fahrenheit value. And the formula is given to you. And the formula, as you can see, is temperature in degree Fahrenheit equals to temperature degree centigrade into 1.8 plus 32. So this is the normal formula. How will you interpret this in computer? How will you interpret this in pseudocode? That will be assignment. Let's see that inshallah my students will be able to definitely do it. Okay, I can just give you hints so that it will be able, because why am I not doing it for you people is because something similar to this one we have just done. So you can refer to your material, you can refer to against the video for referencing again. But the same concept, the number of times is going to be 24 because it's hourly temperature. Again, input is taken, but after the input is taken, then it is the input in centigrade. What you need to do is you will be adding one more line for converting the centigrade temperature to its equivalent Fahrenheit value. Achha, let me tell you one thing. Actually, let me repeat the same as I keep on telling all the time. programming or pseudocode writing may be different from person to person. Maybe some student thinks differently and other student thinks completely differently. But your final thing should be the right one. Definitely, we all are going to work with loop. Maybe someone says, Miss, I want to work with for loop. Fine. Someone else says, Miss, I want to practice with repeat. Perfect. That's perfectly okay. There's no hard and fast rule. What I said is we go for the most suitable one, most efficient one. And in these scenarios, which we have talked about till now, the most efficient one is going to be for loop. That's why we have been doing with for loop. So just remember, the programming or pseudocode writing the concept may differ from student to student. So once you are done with centigrade input, then you will be doing the Fahrenheit calculation. And the Fahrenheit calculation is very simple. Just a hint. Just pay attention to the equals to and the multiply. So for equals to, what will you be using? When we talk about pseudocode writing, we have talked about the use of the assignment operator, the arrow. Fine. And one more thing is there's no multiply symbol the way we have it in math. We are going to use the asterisk. So this is what you should be cautious about, that the use of asterisk. And then the plus 32 is the same, plus is the same you're going to use. So instead of temperature, degree centigrade, temperature, degree Fahrenheit, you will be using your variables. Be very cautious. The variables that you have used to input the centigrade temperature, the variable that you are using for the Fahrenheit temperature, the variable that you are using for the totaling concept, and the average. These all are, be very cautious so that the variables should be matching. And you are going to use the same variables throughout. Once you have performed the calculation, then the next thing will be that you will be using the same line of totaling as we have learned. And then once the loop is over, then you will be finding out the average. And once the average has been computed, then you will be displaying it by using the output. I hope there's no confusions. Think about it. How can you handle it? And then do it. Because it's just addition of one or two extra lines, one line basically, which will actually take you to the same, where to place that line, how to write down that line. It's just that one line that is the basic thing. Want to start doing it? I explained it to every one of you. I started receiving the responses. That's wonderful, Ahmad, that this time you have done the work first. Okay. Now this, I'll not show you the answer because I've talked about the whole thing. What I want is very quickly do it. Okay, now once we are done with everything, Jazakallah khairan kasira for being with me for this topic. If you have liked my video, please subscribe to my channel and share my channel with your friends and family. And keep on sharing my videos with everyone. Allah Hafiz.